Hello presenters, classmates, we're all looking pretty good today. We're presenting an Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, also known as the ICAC, and we'll be going through pretty much everything we know about it and how you can help. I'm Zach McDermott. I will be covering a minor setback and the goods and services that the services provide.
My name is Noah Landon. I'm talking about how you can volunteer and why you should.
And I'm Brittany Winkle, and I'll be talking about community need.
I'm Kayla Cudel, and I'll be talking about information surrounding homeless animals.
I'm Jordan Taylor, and I'll be talking about the location and the counties that it covers, and also animal behavior training.
One of the main reasons that there's so many homeless animals here in Iowa City is due to the fact that owners don't give their pets the necessary identification. Each pet should be given an identification tag. It should look something like the one here pictured on the right. It should have their name, your phone number, and your street address, or your full address. This identification tag allows your pet to be safe at all times, even if they become out of your care or if they get lost. But this identification tag is giving anyone who finds your pet your phone number so they can contact you if they need you, and also your address so they can bring your pet back to home. Another main reason for so many homeless animals here in Iowa City is due to the fact that it's a college town. We are college students and we look at getting pets as a fun thing to do, which we all know it is. But we kind of look past the responsibility of them. When we looked into getting pets, we think of like here now, like in the present, and how they're fun, how it would be awesome to have a pet here, but we don't really look at what happens if we move or the money that they need to like be taken care of. College students aren't very wealthy. Like we are on a low budget, so getting an animal is also very hard because they need their checkups. They need, if they get into a fight with another animal or like anything happens to them, you're responsible for them. And also the fact that we sign leases. A lot of people here sign leases, and one lease, you may sign one lease that says you can have pets, but if you're moving the next year, what are you going to do with the animal if the lease doesn't allow pets? An example, me and my roommates a couple months ago were looking at getting a dog because, again, we thought it was fun, and we love animals, but we thought more into the future because we aren't looking to live in the same place, and we don't know like what the next place we're going to live is going to allow. So you can't just leave pets alone, and these animals deserve more than being left behind.
So why is it important? The amount of stray animals in Iowa City is continuously increasing, mainly because of what Kayla already said. College students go from one location thinking, okay, I can have this animal, and they go to another one and they can't have the animal. So unfortunately, they just end up letting the animal roam free, and obviously they can't fend for themselves. So usually they end up, unfortunately, being found dead in the streets. Volunteers are probably the most efficient and vital people that could possibly help places like these shelters. They provide affection, hope, and support mostly for the workers, but affection and hope for these animals to be re-socialized and just to give them the little amount of affection before they can enter a nice home. In this chart, I thought it was pretty interesting because this 50%, as you can see, they're already safe, so obviously that means that they're already in a kind and loving home. But this 35%, that doesn't mean that they can't be adopted. They're still healthy, they're desirable, but some of them are just underage. I know for my example, I wasn't able to get my dog until he was over 8 weeks old. So these animals can just be underage. And for the top 15%, yeah, it says that they have chronic, severe, and behavioral problems, but that doesn't mean you can't adopt them. My grandma, for example, she adopted a dog, and now he's over a year and a half old. He was abused, left in the streets, and everything like that, but it just requires some patience and just some time to just help to re-socialize the animal, because now at a year and a half, he would have no idea he was abused.
Our organization is located at 3910 Napoleon Lane, Iowa City. It's dedicated to all different types of animals like dogs, cats, birds, hamsters, rabbits, reptiles, birds, etc. It is dedicated to all of Johnson County, which covers all of Iowa City. It's It's pretty standard temporary home for lost and forgotten animals. This is one of the first shelters that is brought. The animals are brought to if they are lost and forgotten. And then the next topic is animal behavior and training classes. So this could range from your dog just needs to be puppy trained, or your bird just needs to learn to be accustomed to your house, or your dog could have behavioral problems such as anxiety or is scared around, I know for example, like a certain gender. They might not like men, they might not like older women, something like that. And that basically covers all the behavior training.
All right. Another great feature that the CAC provides is bite information and vaccines. While this sounds kind of standard, it really isn't, because if a dog bites a human or a dog bites another dog, you have to get that checked out. You can't just leave it go. So you can take that to the ICAC, and they can provide you with as much information as to what you need, to what vaccine you need, or where you should take the dog if it needs further care, or yourself, whether you need to go to a hospital or just drinking water could help. Another important feature would be quarantines. These quarantines, like I just said, are if dogs bite other dogs, or cats bite birds, whatever the case may be. If they have a disease or a deadly toxin in them that resulted from the bite, they quarantine the animal, they put them in a room with water and food, and they get looked at for as long as they need until they are not quarantined anymore. Neglected and forgotten animal investigation is by far one of my favorite things that the ICAC does. Neglected and forgotten animals, that's almost animal abuse, neglect. It's not right, and you can take that to the ICAC, or if they get an animal that someone brought in that they suspect could be beaten, neglected, anything like that, they can conduct an investigation and hopefully get to the bottom of that. Money's tight nowadays, so when thinking of vaccinations, all the ones that I know, because I've had many dogs, they have to get right off the bat. You have to get rabies vaccination, plenty more. They're very expensive, and the low-cost vaccination at the ICAC really helps people be able to afford the right care for their dogs, animals, whatever the case may be. I'm going to assume you all know what spay and neutering is. They do that as well. It's also low cost. It's one of the lowest in the state. Emergency housing. This ranges from anything from a flash flood to a building being burned down and the animal not having anywhere to go. You could take them simply to the ICAC and they will care for them in all the ways that they do. Animal-related referral services. So if, like for example, a house broke down or a tornado, a flood, whatever the case may be, they can refer specific wounds or specific needs that these animals require, and they can point you in the right direction for that. They have lots of information. They're always willing to help. One of the minor setbacks from the ICAC would be the flood of June 2008, as many people remember. For 7 years, the ICAC was located in a warehouse instead of a designed, as you can see, home for the animals, and living conditions weren't as good as they could have hoped to get from a temporary place. So for 7 years, there was constant plans about making a new building and all. And just recently, this summer, they have fully moved into it and it's up and operational.
Alright, how you can get involved. If you want to volunteer at the shelter, it's a pretty straightforward process. The easiest way would be to go straight to this website. This is an actual picture of the website itself. Go to the Support Us tab, and volunteering is the first option. This will give you basic information of what volunteering is at the shelter and things you can do to help. And then also the phone number, which is also on the handout that we gave to you guys. You can call them and set up an appointment with them. The shelter likes to work on this contract basis, where you go into a year-long contract with them, and it requires you to at least serve 2 hours a week with them. This helps them make sure people come back and they always have help at the shelter. Possible qualifications. We, as a group, didn't actually volunteer at the shelter. The reason for that being is, coughing, but We didn't volunteer because if you want to volunteer with a large group, it's not really possible with this contract system they have going. I mean, we could have all signed up with the contract, but with our school and work schedules, it really wasn't possible for us. So it just basically works on a one-on-one contract. Reasons why you should get involved. It may just be like 2 hours of your day, but when you really think about it, you're watching TV for 2 hours. You're, I don't know, just sitting around your house, like thinking of things to do for 2 hours. But this is 2 hours a week, and for the animals sitting in the shelter, in the cages, all day long, with little to no human contact, 2 hours means a world of difference to them. Does anybody have any questions?
Does the shelter allow pickles? That's a new one.
Yeah.
Do they allow?
Yes.
Is it a no-kill?
I think it is kill shelter.
Is there an age requirement for volunteering, or can children volunteer?
It's usually 18 and over because of the contract, but yeah. I actually had a coworker who wanted to have her son volunteer at a shelter because he was being bad. And she actually spent a lot of time trying to find a shelter for him to volunteer at because everybody wants to do these contracts. It makes it like near impossible just to do like a little bit of volunteering here and there.
What happens if you don't fulfill your contract for your volunteering?
I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think they can come at you too hard. After all, you are just helping them out.
Can anyone use the vaccination services at ICAC? I mean, not people obviously, but like, if you just had a pet, but the expenses of getting them vaccinated properly are too expensive for you to handle, would ICAC help someone at a low cost rate? Or do they have to be a shelter dog in order to get those services?
Oh, you can like bring in your specific pet, and I think they do have payment plans. I'm not entirely sure what the specifics are of it, but I believe you can bring in a pet and then
Work with them?
work with them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm especially interested in the animal behavior training. So I have a dog, 2-year-old. She's a lab, and then she wasn't disciplined, and also I'm training her. I wanted to ask the question is whether there are people to train me to train the dog, or there's some guy train the dog.
I think it's just actual classes for the dog. I'm not particularly sure if you're allowed to participate,